Jai Hind, dear students. I hope you all are good and enjoying your studies this way. So, I'm back again with the next video for the chapter metals and non-metals. So, till now we have been discussing about the second chapter, that is acid, bases and salts. And also you have done certain assessments in the form of Google Forms, and I hope most of the topics you have got it clear, and there are no further queries regarding that particular chapter. So, in continuation to the syllabus of chemistry further, I'm just going to move ahead on to the next chapter, and that is the metals and the non-metals. So, students, as you all can see in front of your screen, that there is periodic table of the elements. So, this is actually the modern periodic table which you all are able to see here, and all the different elements which are existing in nature today, they have been put up into certain categories, they have been provided a certain position in the periodic table, and there are certain specific characteristics, there are certain properties based upon which they have been classified and put up into a certain group or a certain period. So regarding the different properties and the characteristics of the periodic table, we will be having the discussion in the last chapter of your syllabus, that is periodic classification of elements. But right now, you must be surprised that why am I putting up this periodic table in front of you? It's just that I wanted to discuss about certain elements over here and the classification of different elements into the different categories. So Lavoisier was the scientist who had this classification, who did this classification, and he divided the different elements known into three basic categories, namely metals, non-metals, and the metalloids. So as you all can see on the screen that there are certain colors which are indicated here. So the very first, this part of the periodic table, which is basically the S block of the periodic table, are consisting of the metals. Now towards this side you will find they all are the p block elements, and majorly there will be the presence of the non-metals towards this side, and here only you will find that these all are the metalloids. Here again this is the D block where there will be the presence of the metals. So this is the whole classification, and the lower two blocks are present. These are the lanthanide and the actinide series, which is also considered as the F block elements. So what is this S block, B block, D block and F block? You will get to know when we will discuss about the periodic classification of elements, which is the last chapter of your syllabus. So in this chapter we are basically going to talk about the metals and the non-metals, and their different properties, which include the physical properties and as well as the chemical properties. Also, we are going to discuss in this chapter regarding the interaction, and that is the chemical bond formation, and I will be discussing about two important bonds over here, and that is the ionic bond, and I'll just give you an overview of the covalent bond as well, which is in detail in the next chapter, and that is the carbon and its compound. So I think we should now begin with the chapter. So students, this is what I was discussing just now. The different elements, there are three categories or the classification which has been done, and this is a pie diagram which is showing the classification of the metals, non-metals and the metalloids, wherein you are able to see that metalloids are common for metals and the non-metals, which means that there are few of the properties of metals and of non-metals which will remain common in the metalloids. There are certain examples of metalloids which are being given over here, that is silicon, germanium and astatine. Now metals, I hope everyone knows certain examples of the metals, namely calcium, nickel, zinc, then copper, gold, platinum, silver, and then there are a lot many, sodium, potassium. You have been studying about the metals from so long. Similarly, in the non-metals case, you can see bromine, chlorine, fluorine, carbon. and then there are a lot many others. So when you will be studying about it in detail, then sulfur, phosphorus are two of the other common ones. Now I would not suggest you to write down this hydrogen here. The reason being that hydrogen is something which is metal, which is an element rather, which is having few of the characteristics of the metals as well as the non-metals. So if you would have paid proper attention towards this particular periodic table, you would find the position of hydrogen is not common as in group number 1. It has been put up separately, and that's why it is treated as a separate and a special element in the periodic table, where it is just because that it has certain characteristics. So you all know that hydrogen has just one electron in its outermost shell, or the valence shell, because its atomic number is 1. So it has a tendency to accept the electron, one of the electron, and then it completes its duplet, whereas it can also lead to donating that one electron or ejecting out that one electron, and leading to the formation of hydrogen ion, which is also termed as proton. So since it is containing, or it is showing both the characteristics which is resembling to the metal as well as the non-metal, so it is not completely considered as to be under the group of a metal or the non-metal here. Now in this picture you can see there are few metals which are quite common, and starting from copper, lead, tin, nickel, steel and zinc. These are few of the metal. Although steel is one of the alloy here, tin is one of the other metal. You all must be remembering that tinning is one of the process for making the containers, and for preventing the iron from undergoing the process of rusting. This is what has been discussed in the previous chapter also. Now these are few more metals examples: aluminium, iron, calcium, sodium, and then platinum, gold. Then after you have magnesium, and then you have potassium. So all these are the different examples of the metals here. Now, when I talk about the examples of non-metals, you can see the most common non-metal is the carbon, which is a constituent of several kind of you can say the components which are existing. And even our body is formed of carbon. There are lot many compounds which we are consuming. It is all based upon the carbon. So there are so many things around us which is formed of carbon, and therefore this is one of the most widely found non-metals on the earth. And the another picture you can see is of the diagram, which is an allotrope of carbon. So that we all know that there are two or majorly three allotropes of carbon, and one of which is represented here, which is the diamond. Second is graphite, and the third is fullerene, Fullurene, or it may sometimes also be referred as Buckminster fullerene. It was the Buckminster was the scientist who got to know this particular form of, or the allotrope of carbon, and it is a 60 carbon containing allotrope of carbon, and we will be discussing about this in the chapter carbon and its compound. Okay. Similarly, we have another one, that is phosphorus and the sulfur. Sulfur, I hope you all must have seen while performing one of the practicals in class 9. It's a yellow colored powder, and just recall that phosphorus is stored under the water. And what is the reason for the same? That it does not react with water, but it is quite reactive with air, and it has a very low ignition temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, because of which it may explode on its own, and it shows the spontaneous combustion in atmosphere. So that is how there are few of the non-metals which are being shown over here, and are the few of the common ones. Now in this picture you can see there are few of the common examples of the metalloids, starting from silicon, boron. Then after we have antimony and germanium. The symbol for silicon is Si, for boron it is B, For antimony it is Sb, and for germanium it is Ge. Okay, so these are few of the metalloids, and just let me tell you that metalloids are one of the like a kind of elements which are majorly used in making of semiconductors, which you study in physics basically. So these are the metalloids, having few of the common characteristics of metals and the non-metals. If I compare the properties of metals, non-metals and the metalloids, so maybe at the end of this video you will be able to correlate with all these things what has been listed over here. Basically our chapter is that materials, metals and non-metals. And right now we are going to discuss about the physical properties of metals and the non-metals, along with the exceptional cases whatever will be coming, because all the metals or the non-metals cannot show straight property. It cannot be always showing like complete 100% resemblance to each other. So there might be certain variation in a few of the cases which we are going to discuss right now. There are few of the physical properties listed as over here. The very first is the malleability, second is ductility, then after it is hardness, fourth is the metallic luster, then after it is thermal conductor, next is electrical conductor, and the last is the sonority. So I think everyone must be remembering all these general properties, and you all have studied these all properties in your previous classes as well. So this is simply just a repetition of what you have already studied and a bit add on to that. Now, when we talk about malleability, so you all know that metals can be beaten into thin sheets by hammering. So when we hammer a particular metal and it can be converted into form of thin sheets, that property is said to be the property of malleability, and the metal is said to be malleable. So like there are so many metals, almost all metal but not all. Okay, so there are most of the metals which show this particular property, and silver is one of it. You must have heard about this silver varak, the thin layer of silver foil which is put up over the sweets. So that silver color is actually because of the silver varak, and it's just because of the property of malleability here. Similarly, gold is also it is in fact the most malleable metal, because and you will find it is used for making the jewelries and the different designs that you would go through, and then it is just because of this property it is able to be provided into different kind of shapes, and then we have different designs of the jewelry as well. So this is the malleability. Next is the ductility, wherein you can see the metals can be drawn into fine wires. So all those metals which can be drawn into thin wires, they all are ductile, and the property what they are exhibiting is the property of ductility. So like copper is one of the very common one. Silver is the like you can say most ductile, but still you can ask this question that still why do we use the copper wires? The reason is that silver is quite expensive, and as in comparison to the other metals, it is soft also. Although it is a metal, but its softness is more as in comparison to the other metals. So, for expense purpose as well as for the strength, these two things are there, because of which we are using the copper wire in most of the electric cables and all that. So this property is the property of ductility. So you can see 1 gram of gold can be drawn into a wire of about 2 kilometers in length. So this much is the ductility of like gold, and you can imagine 1 gram gold is very less, and you can draw it into a wire of about length 2 kilometers. So it's too much. Moving upon onto the next one, and that is the hardness as its property. So it's another property of metals. However, there are quite a few metals which are soft, and these metals, these are the exceptions. Remember, sodium. You all must be able to recall that sodium is one of the metal which can be cut with the help of knife. Similarly, potassium is another metal which can be cut with the help of knife. Lithium, gallium is that kind of metal. If you will take gallium in your hand with the heat of your palm, it gets melted. Okay, similarly you can talk about the mercury, which is one of the liquid metal here. So these are like about the hardness. Almost all metals are hard, they are solid, but there are few exceptions as listed here, and you can also include mercury in the same, which is a liquid metal. Now then comes the metallic luster. So luster means here shine. So the surface of a newly formed when metals are cut has a shining appearance. So the property in which the metals have a shining appearance is termed as the luster. And this is the property which is basically used for making the jewelries and all that, like gold, silver, platinum and all that. Next property is the thermal conductivity. So as you all can see, thermal conductivity means here the property in which it is able to conduct the heat energy. So metals are considered to be they have the ability to conduct heat. They are a good conductor of heat. So that is why we use the metallic utensils for cooking the food, for heating up anything. So the stainless steel is one of the most common utensil which are found in our homes, and it is again the combination of the metals and the non-metals only. So it's an alloy basically. Next is the electrical conductivity. So electrical conductivity simply means the ability of the metals to let electricity pass through it. And I think everyone is quite clear with this concept that the wires which we find all our houses. So how the electricity is running from main MCB to the different parts of our houses, whether be it kitchen, be it bathroom, or be it a storeroom even. So we are able to run the electricity in all the different parts of our houses. It's just because that the metals have a tendency to run the current, and because of which the electricity is passed through it, and we are able to get the electric supply everywhere in the house. You can see this is something which we can understand also, that the filament of electric bulb is made up of fine wires of tungsten. So this tungsten wire is basically used in these bulbs, which are this tungsten is actually a metal. So that is how we can understand that how does it conduct the electricity. Next property for the same is the sonority, and I hope you all must be able to recall that you have done a project based upon the same in class 8. And sonority is simply the property or the ability of the metals to produce sound, and when they are hit with the hard material. So that is why we are able to have the different period bells uh, during our regular classroom hours. So if it is the first period, there is just one strike on the that bell, and then after, if it is it is second period, or when it is like school is getting over, so it is continuous striking on that bell, and that is how that sound gets produces, and this property is called as the property of sonority. And the metal is said to be sonorous, Sonorous. So now if I compare the physical properties of metals with non-metals, we find that there is no luster. That means there is a dull appearance in the non-metals except few, and the exception is the graphite in this case. Graphite has a luster, whereas all the other non-metals, they are having no luster. Second, the non-metals are generally poor conductors of heat and electricity, means they do not conduct the heat, they do not conduct the electricity. But yes, again there are certain exceptions, and here the exceptions are diamond and graphite. Graphite, which is the pencil lead also in your pencils. So if you want to confirm that, prepare a prepare an electric circuit and put that pencil lid and just sharp the pencil from both the end, and then after you uh, just connect the wires from both the side, you will find it is able to conduct the electricity, and henceforth you will be able to prove this thing. Then instead of being malleable and ductile, the non-metals are found to be brittle. So this is the term brittle which you will have to remember. Now brittle here means like when you will hammer it, it will break into smaller pieces. Just remember the example of coal or a charcoal piece. If you will take a charcoal piece and put a um, just you are hammering it, or you are just applying pressure on it, so what will you find? That you will find that it is going to get broken into smaller pieces. So that property is called as brittleness. Unlike in the case of metals, if you take a gold ring and start hammering it, you will find it is getting flattened. It becomes more flat on applying more of your force. So but it is not going to break into smaller pieces. So that property in which the non-metals gets broken into smaller pieces, it is called as the property of brittleness. So they are not ductile, they are not malleable. When we compare the density, so it is generally found that the metals have a high density, whereas the non-metals are having a low density. The reason being, the metals are generally existing in the solid state. They are solid, they are hard, whereas the non-metals are generally liquids or the gases, although they are present or existing in all the three different forms, but majority of the non-metals are existing in either like liquid and majorly in the gaseous form. Okay, so the last one is the physical property of non-metals as the low melting point. So here we will find that they get melted, or they have a low melting point as in comparison to the metals. So metals generally have the high melting point. It's just because that since they are solids, they have a very strong bond of interaction, a very strong intermolecular force of attraction, because of which it is difficult to change their state. So the melting point here will be low in the case of non-metals, whereas it will be high in the case of the metals. So this is the comparative study between the metals and the non-metals. You can see there are certain exceptional cases which are given. When we talk about metals, which are generally solids, non-metals are found in all three states. Metals are heavy with these exceptions, sodium, potassium and magnesium, whereas non-metals are generally light in weight. The metals are hard and non-brittle, whereas the solid non-metals are hard but brittle. Now, the metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Exception here is the lead, whereas the non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity. Here, exception will be diamond and graphite. Metals are ductile and malleable, whereas non-metals are neither ductile nor malleable. They are brittle in nature. Metal have melting points and boiling points which are generally high, and whereas in the case of non-metals, it is generally low. The metals produce ringing sound on collision, whereas there is no such sound being produced in the non-metals. The metals are generally lustrous and they can be polished again, whereas non-metals are non-lustrous and they cannot be polished further. This is another table which is showing more or less similar kind of property. So you can see in this property luster. So metals they are lustrous, whereas the metals non-metals are non-lustrous. With these two exceptional cases, just remember graphite and iodine. So these are the exceptions where in which we can say these are the two non-metals which are lustrous. Malleability, metals are generally malleable with the exception of zinc, and obviously yes, all those soft metals or the liquid metals, they are also the exceptions here. Similarly, in the non-metal case, they are the non-malleable with the exception of carbon fiber. When it comes to ductility, metals are generally ductile with the exception of zinc and mercury, whereas in the case of non-metals, they are non-ductile with the exception of carbon fiber. Tensile strength is generally high in the case of metal with the exception of zinc and mercury, whereas the non-metals generally have low tensile strength with the exception of carbon fiber. When it comes to sonority, the metals are sonorous, whereas the non-metals are non-sonorous. So this is I was talking earlier only regarding alloys, which is the homogeneous mixtures of a melted metal with another melted metal or other non-metal substance that is then allowed to solidify. So most gold or silver coins are alloys, and here you can see there is an example: copper and zinc. When they are taken up in a certain proportion, they form an alloy which is called as brass. Similarly, the stainless steel which we are using at home is also one of the alloy. And I hope everyone must be remembering that this is something you have studied in class 9th also. Just at last, I'm going to discuss few of the points of comparison which is related to metals, non-metals as well as metalloids. So when we talk about metals, these are the elements with the highest degree of metallic behavior. Non-metals, they show less or no metallic properties, and metalloids are having a low degree of metallic behavior. Now, where are metals found in the periodic table? Towards the left side. Then we find the non-metals towards the right side, and the metalloids are found in the middle part. Similarly, while I was talking about the SPDF blocks, so the metals are found in or located in SPDF blocks, whereas the non-metals are found basically in S and P block, and the metalloids are located in P block. Metals have a shiny appearance, then the non-metals have a dull appearance, whereas the metalloids have a dull or shiny appearance. It depends upon which metalloid are we talking about. Metals show malleability and ductility. Non-metals don't show these two, whereas the metalloids also do not show malleability and ductility. Now, when it comes to the thermal conduction and electrical conductivity, so it's high in the case of metals, low in the case of the non-metals, and it is good but in the metalloids, but it is definitely less as in comparison to the metals. Metals have a very low electronegativity. So this is a new term for you. So electronegativity means here the tendency to attract an electron towards itself. So as we all know that the metals have a tendency to lose the electron, and they do not have the tendency to gain the electron. So this character is called as electronegative character. So we can say that the metals are having electropositive character, whereas in the non-metals have a high electronegativity. That means they have a tendency to attract electrons, which is very high. And when it comes to the metalloids, they have an intermediate value of electronegativity, which is neither too high nor too low. So this is all about the physical properties of metals and non-metals. So I hope whatever I have discussed is clear to everyone. So please refer to NCERT once so that you are able to correlate with whatever topics have been discussed today. Thank you and Jai Hind.